Welcome back to Make Your Show The Creators. I'm Jason Chichi.
And I'm John Kramer. Today's guest, Patrick House, shows that there's really no one way to become a filmmaker.
Patrick spent 9 years in the military where he discovered the importance of doing the work nobody else wanted to do and doing it the way that only he could do it.
We heard his career stories that seemed too easy to be true, but really happened because of all the hard work that he put in and the relationships he maintained.
He also shared with us how to keep in touch without being icky and his film festival philosophy.
Thanks so much for joining us and taking the time to answer some questions for us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So here's my question. We're just going to jump right into it.
Let's go.
I was looking at your list of projects and your website. I love the way your website looks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But there were a couple I wasn't sure. You have listed that you were the writer or director on a couple of them. And a couple I couldn't tell. But do you do cinematography too, or are you strictly writer director?
So when I was in the military, I was a backpack. So I did everything. I shot, edited, did everything. So, I wouldn't call myself a cinematographer, but I definitely have those skills and knowledge and experience, but more of on a documentary level.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing that definitely jumps right out when I looked at your bio, and you served in the military in the Navy for 9 years. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was. It was wild.
So can I ask, you also say that your dad was a director and he was your inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
When you joined the military, did you already have it in mind then that you wanted to be a storyteller and a director and a filmmaker?
Absolutely. To say that now is like, man, how did I know? Or it's just crazy how you start off on a path and don't even really think about how it started. But I had dropped out of college. I was playing basketball in college. I dropped out and I went to a community school, and I majored in television and I forgot what it's called, New Age television. That was my major. And I ended up dropping out of there too, which led to me going to the military. But yeah, when I went to recruit, I told them I wanted to do something in the arts. And
so had you been making films that whole time through college?
Okay, so this is how I went. My first semester, I was playing ball. I dropped out. Second semester, I went to a school in Chicago called Columbia, which is like the NYU of Chicago. And, we did like television productions like in the studio at school. But this is years ago with DV tapes and all that kind of stuff. So I had done some things there. But other than that, I hadn't done anything until I went to the military.
And you made mostly documentary stuff, or did you start making narrative stuff then?
Well, I went in as a photographer's mate. And this is 2005, and this is right when like digital and film were kind of swapping out. So I learned photography. That's why I say I have kind of some cinematography school. After I went to photography school in the Navy, when I got to my first duty station in San Diego, they were like, we're merging everything because of digital media and all this kind of stuff. So you can either write or you can shoot video. And so I chose to shoot video. So I was doing, 59-second news spots about, Girl Scouts visit the base. Some sailors go to an elementary school to read to kids. I was doing that. Then it went to operational stuff. Then it went to deploying and doing documentary, like long form, 30-minute, hour-long documentary.
So was Relay for Life, that's one of the projects that looks like maybe you did during that time?
That was towards the end. That was my last deployment in 2012.
Yeah.
I did that in Afghanistan.
I really loved that piece, the way that you cut together all those different locations like that. It's really, really impressive. I love that stuff. And I wondered, did you do all of that yourself? Shooting, directing, editing, everything?
Everything.
One-man band.
It's funny because, so when I was in Afghanistan, you have there's a media hub. So you have all branches work together when it comes to media. And so I had an Air Force supervisor, and he wanted to do a story on this guy, but nobody wanted to do it. Nobody thought it could, they was like, it's boring. Like, how are we going to shoot somebody running? I was like, I'll do it.
So you had to have the vision. You had to have a story in your mind for something that everybody else said, we don't know how we're going to do this.
Yeah, definitely. It took a couple of days. Everybody's schedule is crazy. And that guy who we did the story on, he lived right outside of where our little office was. So it was, I go back to him and say, all right, whenever you're going for a run, just let me know. Yeah. And I'll try to meet you. And I had a friend of mine drive me in the truck, and I, shot alongside him. So
that was really cool.
Thank you.
So at what point do you say to yourself, this is what I want to do when I get out of the military? I want to keep making stories. I want to be a writer. I want to be a director. How does
The
that
entire time. The whole time I was always, like I said, I went in knowing that's what I want to do. I did it 9 years. I didn't expect to stay that long. I was only going to do 4. Yeah, I was thinking that along those lines the whole time. I'll say this for sure though. While I was in the military, I was selected for this program at Syracuse University where they select, 4 from each branch, 4 people. So they do 2 videographers and 2 photographers and writers from each branch of the military. And we get to go to school for a year at Syracuse and study, journalism essentially. We spend a whole year making a documentary, but we also do other news kind of focus training and writing stories and stuff like that. So I would say that year though really said, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna pursue.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it before, but just that whole experience of, because I had done it, I'm gonna sound like a military guy, but I had done it, not doing it in the civilian world, as opposed to doing it on active duty. It's like it was like the handcuffs getting taken off. Because
where was that school? Because I went to Syracuse.
Yeah, SI Newhouse.
And I thought so.
Yeah.
Great department.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. We do all of the electives in 1 year. So if you would get to a bachelor's in like journalism, we do all the electives in 1 year. So it was pretty intense. And,
wow.
Yeah, so that year was, I think, and then that was my first time coming to New York, so that even got the juices flowing even more. So
then you began at SVA?
So after that year, I went back to active duty, and I had another 4 years left on active duty.
Oh wow!
And then after those 4 years was up, that's when I came to SVA.
And is that the first time you wrote a fictional narrative?
Yeah, it was. I guess you could say that. Like, when I was in the Navy, one thing we got to do, especially deployed, is we did like commercials. On the ship, we have a closed circuit television system. Any messages that the higher ups want to get out, they come to us and they ask us to do commercials or do PSAs and stuff. So I had done some silly stuff there, but like it wasn't nothing written. It wasn't a script. It's just you get some friends together, be like, yo, we want to do this, that, and the third. Let's shoot this, let's shoot that. But yeah, SVA was my first time writing.
Well, that sounds like an incredible training ground. I mean, in my opinion, to have to learn how to do everything yourself. I mean, you say that you started writing at SVA, but it sounds like that was just a more formal version
right.
of what you had been doing, probably without thinking of it as writing. I mean, you have to come up
the
with
natural progression to it all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did have to do a lot of, even when we shot video, we had to do voiceover. So we had to write a script. Like I say, this is Day News Update. I'm Petty Officer Patrick House. On board USS Peleliu, LHA-5, we conducted da-da-da. We had to write a script there. And then, a lot of times, what's the word they use? I forgot the word we use in the military. Repurpose, I think was the word. But so I would shoot a video and I would get an interview and they would say, hey, we need a print version of that. Can you take those sound bites from your interview and write a print story out of it? So did a lot of writing. Yeah. But not narrative though. It was all, this kind of news kind of.
Yeah.
So once you could start writing your own stuff, what inspired you? Like, did you have particular stories in mind you wanted to tell, or?
What inspired? I don't know. This is a good question. Like I said, it's kind of been like, I want to do this and
just go.
A lot of things inspired me. I felt like there were a lot of stories, especially like Black stories. I felt like there were more perspectives to be explored or different ways to tell the stories, versus what's been put out a lot. So that was one thing I wanted to do, was just have a different POV coming up as, as a Black man in America, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, the experience and how it was conveyed too, just thinking about different ways to tell stories.
Now, did you ever think about what it means to make your own work? It sounds like you had this path from the Navy where you were creating work for your job. Then you got out, you spent some time in Syracuse where it sounds like you were doing that really for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got out and it sounds like you went pretty quickly right into SVA after your service.
Absolutely. Yep. About a month later.
And then so you get out of SVA, kind of talking like, it sounds like you didn't really have as much of a plan. You just kind of hit the ground running. You just wanted to make your own work. Did you have a plan as to what you wanted to do with that work, how you wanted to use it for your career, to further your career?
Definitely. The last piece I did at SVA, the Blue Diamonds, I really want to use that as a calling card. And I want to expound on it because, that was the first one I did at SVA, Night Job. I guess you could say co-wrote it. But that was my first time writing completely straight, original by myself. I wanted to, it's almost like I taught myself how to write. And then it's like I learned more from that experience. So I want to continue it and turn it into a feature or like a mini series and stuff like that. I had a plan, I had ideas. You just really never know which one is going to pan out or when it's going to pan out, and things like that. So I just had a bunch. I'm open to anything.
Yeah.
And just kind of trying to keep my eyes open and keep as many irons in the fire as I can.
So here's my question then. So you are making these projects through SVA, so School of Visual Arts, and you wanted Blue Diamond specifically to be a calling card. What would you say have been the benefits of having made that work? Blue Diamonds, you mentioned Night Job. How do you feel like doing that work has helped you move forward?
People see a representation of your work. It's like, from my point of view, if I'm picking we're doing casting and you don't, somebody might be a really good actor or actress or whatever, but if they don't have a reel, then, it's just like out of sight, out of mind. So for me, it's just what I've seen is most people been able to see what I'm capable of, what my vision is, and how I like to do things. It's real life in your face. It's helped me a lot. I've gotten a lot of work off of even Night Job, which is about 4 or 5 years old. Like, people still speak well of it. Some of the film festivals I've been, those people have kept in touch with me because they enjoy the project so much. Several people from different film festivals, they keep in touch.
What sorts of work have you gotten subsequently from?
So I did a music video in LA. I had an artist reach out to me to do a music video. I've done 2 pilots. So 2 different people have written pilots and they reached out to me to direct them. I've had other work that, I didn't want, that I didn't take. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of good feedback. Oh, I actually got an agent based off of that work.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
awesome.
Commercial agent. So it's definitely is worth it to have, because it's this is like a show me business. You got to show me what you can do. Like,
that's
you
right.
can talk about it, but unless you can show me, that's where the rubber meets the road.
I was just gonna ask if you've used crowdfunding to make any of your projects.
I mean, not really. Well, this one of the series, the pilots that I directed. The lady, she wrote it and she did a lot of crowdfunding. But I haven't see, this is the thing, I grew up in Chicago. I was in the military for 9 years. Now I live in New York. I moved around and then my friends are all over the place. So, I didn't do a good job of keeping in touch with a lot of people. But I've had people like lend me money, close friends and things like that. But crowdfunding, I haven't really used it. I probably should. I wish I explored that even more.
Well, so it sounds like everything you've made pretty much has been self-funded.
Definitely self-funded.
Yeah. I mean, that's so, we're really approaching this again, our Jason and I make your show. The audience that's probably going to be listening to this are either writers, actors, maybe directors, maybe cinematographers who want to work. They want to make their own work, but we know that this is really a team effort. There's a lot of people that you usually need to make something for the screen. And if you're making your own work, that means you got to figure out how to pay for it too.
Yeah.
So that's just, one big question. Another big question that a lot of people are going to be interested in as you talk about getting an agent is, how do you get an agent? So I know that that's something that maybe we should dive into a little bit more, but why don't we just talk about that? Can you tell the story about how you got your agent? So was it a specific piece of work or?
Oh man, it was again going back to having work in the can. So a friend of mine who's a photographer, and he was in the military as well, and he's a photographer in LA. He was going to a school, Brooks Institute. They closed down now, but he was a student there. Man, he knew somebody from that school that knew somebody, and they were asking. They said, "We're looking for new talent." You know, the lady she just asked a friend. She's like, "I'm looking for new talent. Do you know anybody?" I'm looking for a few new people. So he reached out to my friend, and then he said, my friend sent myself back to him and said, "What you think about this guy?" I was like, "Yeah, send him." So she took a look at my website, and she's like, "I love your work. I think you have potential." And she's like, "I want to represent you." I was like, "Okay, let's do it."
I might have to edit that out because that might make a lot of our audience upset at how easy that sounded.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, it is. It is. But from what I've heard, man, a lot of stuff, it don't come that easy. But
right.
Man, a majority of everything you get is from your network. You know what I'm saying? The people you meet and come in contact with.
Sure.
When I did an internship at Nickelodeon, they would come speak to all the interns every now and then. And one of the HR people was like, that's the last place we'll look. So yeah, it's all about who you know.
I'd say there's two lessons there, right? Which is it's your network, it's your relationship with a community of people that is going to help, right? You're all there to kind of help each other, hopefully. Absolutely. But then also you had work that you felt good about representing you.
Exactly.
That you had to put that work in to have that product to share, right?
Absolutely.
That's interesting about the Nickelodeon internship. Was that before your service or after?
That was after. That was while I was at SVA. I did an internship there.
Wow. What was that experience like?
It was interesting. Like I thought it would be different. It was really seeing the corporate side of entertainment, So it was a good experience as far as that. I didn't get to do any really what I want to do, directing and being on sets and stuff like that.
Sure.
It wasn't very much of that. There was some, we got to pull clips of things for spots and stuff like that, but, very little what I wanted to do. But it was interesting just to be, a fly on the wall in meetings and seeing how pitches go down and stuff like that. So it was a good experience. Yeah.
Can I ask, what was your motivation for pursuing that internship?
Man, just like I said, keeping as many irons in the fire. Again, network. So a guy... It's on my website. I did a story about 9/11, and the guy's a vendor in Times Square, and he works right outside of the Viacom building. And I did the story on him probably like 2011, but we kept in contact. And especially when I moved up to New York for good, I would go by and see him every now and then. And one day I just went to talk to him. He said, "Bring me a resume." It was like I was just talking to, I think it was Seema Brown at the time. I forget the lady's name, but the CEO of Nickelodeon, he sees her coming and going every day, and they talk to each other. And he told me to bring my resume because he had just got his son an internship. And he said, "Bring me a resume." And I'm personally handed to her. And I gave him my resume. He personally handed it to her. I got an email a week later.
Here's another story we can't share. No one will believe it.
Gonna have to do a lot of editing on this one, Patrick. Again, it does sound easy when the way you tell this story.
Yeah.
But if it sounds easy, it's because you're not paying attention to the work that you had to do.
Definitely.
To be in that position in the first place.
Definitely.
Yeah.
To have, like the work I did with him and the quality of it, and then to maintain that relationship. Yeah, you just really never know, That's why it's always good to maintain relationships and put your best foot forward. Because the one thing, like I know a lot of people, when I was in the military, they would look at, like I said, nobody wants to do the relay for life. It was like, boring. But I was in the mindset of, just doing everything and trying to do it as best you can or as unique as you can. I remember when I was in the military, it was me and two other guys, man. We would regularly get in trouble for breaking the rules, like doing a non-narrative documentary where there's no guy sitting there with a microphone. Like we were like, "Nah, we're not doing that." Or like to use music and things like that in the news piece. They was like, "Nah, you can't." But we would always look for ways to break the rules and to push creativity. So just years of doing that, kind of culminated into that moment.
That's amazing. I want to I had a question earlier. You were talking about going to film festivals. Jason, I feel like, we've spoken to some people that have gone to film festivals, but we haven't really taken a deep dive and found out about that. Is that something that you feel like you can tell our audience a little bit about? Like what's your experience been with taking your work to festivals?
Like, it's been valuable. Again, you meet people, you get relationships. It does help having, we call it little flowers.
The laurel.
The laurels?
Yeah, laurels does make a difference, from having an agent. She says when people see laurels and awards won, it does help in that respect. For me, it was good going to film festivals to see what other people are doing. Yeah, just seeing other people, other filmmakers, networking with them. There are some festivals, it's kind of like, it feels like it's all just a money play where they just will throw anything up and they don't really curate the different nights.
Right. Everybody gets a prize.
Yeah, everybody gets a prize, and we got all kind of movies that, and then, but when I'm going to some really nicely put together festivals, and it's just a great experience, to watch films, and sometimes they have guest speakers come and talk. So
right.
it has its benefits, it has its purpose, I think.
Well, I guess I have two questions then. One would be, if I wanted to go to festivals, but I wasn't sure which ones were the good ones, how would you recommend people find out which are the ones that would be worth their time and which would not? Do you have a method now?
What I used to do, I had Without a Box and Film Freeway. I had a profile on both. And I would just scroll through, especially, when I had a job, I was working at a advertising agency. And like in the morning when I check my emails, I'll be checking the film festivals as well. And I would just scroll through, if it looked presentable, then I will go to the website. And if that looked good, I will go to the social media. I'll read the comments. I will see what's been there before, who's connected to it. And then just, hey, if you feel like it's worth it, pay the $50 or whatever. And
yeah, it's sort of a combination of research, who's going to be there.
Right.
Where is it?
How much it is. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Although you can write it off in your taxes.
We are not professional accountants. We cannot give financial advice. We're going to have that disclaimer. So Patrick, the second question would be, what kind of relationships have you made? Because that's obviously a major kind of motivator for a lot of people to go to festivals, is to, again, build their community. What kind of relationships have you made going to these film festivals, and how have you been able to keep in touch? It sounds like you do a very good job of maintaining relationships with people. If you have any tips for, our audience, like how do we keep in touch with people? Seems like it can feel, inauthentic sometimes, the way we have to try to keep in touch with people. Have you figured out a way to meet people at film festivals, for instance, and then do it so it doesn't feel
weird? Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know if I figured out a way, but the relationships I have maintained is mostly through social media and engagement. I have a friend of mine who's he teaches social media, and one thing he told me is engagement. Man, when you engage with people, it's valuable. Even if it's just commenting on a post or liking something or asking about something, or like you said, organically. I don't try to force anything. Yeah, just engaging with people. And some of the festivals that will keep in touch with you, especially if you place or win a prize. The Hip Hop Film Festival, every year they reach out to me for something. I've done like questionnaires that they'll post on their website, or they'll screen the movie on their website throughout the year. And then they'll shout me out on social media and I'll repost it. Yeah, that's mainly it. I think, again, it's leaving a good impression and doing good work. People just connect to you or ask you for questions. A lot of actors that I know, they'll say, I wrote this, can you read the script? Or what do you think about this? Or what do you think about this movie that just came out? This, whatever. Most of it is organic. That's why I say I don't know if I found out a way to. It's just those I've kept in touch with. That's how I've done.
Jason, some of us are more comfortable with social media than others.
It's a necessary evil.
It is.
Well, hopefully we don't consider it evil. A lot of people do consider it necessary. Do you have a favorite social media network, Patrick, and any kind of profiles you want to plug for us out here? Where can people find you and connect with you?
Instagram, and it is PatHouse13.
Got it.
That's what I'm on the most.
Yeah. Why do you like
We'll
Instagram?
provide that link too for people at the end.
Sure.
Oh yeah, great. You said what now?
Why do you like Instagram?
Well, it's like Facebook is like my life all the way up into the military, until I got out of the military. So from preschool all the way up until then. And then like Instagram is like my new life. It's my rebirth. You know, I like, you know, I'm a visual guy, of course, like images. And then a lot of the people I follow and things I follow, I've really tried to curate to a certain thing. I follow all kind of film pages and cinematography pages and acting pages, film festivals and actors and things I really like. It was kind of like my man cave. It was like Facebook. It's like your mama's on there, your grandmama on there, everybody.
And we don't hear a lot about Twitter from people.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, I never really got into Twitter too heavy anyway. You know. Yeah, that's not my thing. But yeah, Instagram.
This is a good question. Do you maintain a LinkedIn profile?
I do.
And is that something you frequent?
I do. I check it out. That's gotten me some opportunities too. Just spamming people on LinkedIn. I've gotten some pretty good. I've got some pretty good interviews. I didn't get the job. I've got some good opportunities. So yeah, I keep that. You know, again for like corporate stuff, television, production, things like that. LinkedIn is a good place for that.
So what are you working on now, Patrick?
So right before the shutdown hit, I directed two pilots, and been editing them the whole time we've been locked down. Just finished one of them, got it out the door. Another one is close to being done. And when that is finished, I'm going back to writing. I got 3 scripts. Still been working on Blue Diamond. A friend of mine who is bipolar, he wrote a book about it, and he asked me to turn it to a screenplay.
Oh, wow.
And then Harlem Hellfighters. A friend of mine, my cinematographer that I use a lot, we've been talking about wanting to do a war movie about the Harlem Hellfighters. So I've been reading books and stuff.
Wow. Sounds really like you got a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta, you know, it's good to have, especially this day and time, to have something to keep your mind occupied.
I guess I have one final question. When you're on a set, Patrick, what is as the director, do you have a favorite part of it? Do you like the organizing of the entire thing? Do you like working with the actors? Is there one part you like better than another? Since I was I shot myself and I learned photography early, you know, at the beginning of all this. I love composing shots and the lighting, and you know, I love that part of it. When that gets good, it's like then if, you know, talking to actors feels, it's almost like you're in the movie and we're on set and I'm in it with you, and it just feels more real when you're talking to an actor with the moody lighting already set. You know, you can paint a picture in them. It feels like you can paint a better picture in their mind when they can see how cool this place looks. So I'm a real visual guy, so I love that part of it. In seeing your work, I definitely see that in your work. The light's important for you. Yeah, definitely.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for taking the time again.
My pleasure.
To talk. Thank you, and we wish you luck with all of these balls you got in the air.
Yeah, thank you, man. Hopefully, when the world open up soon, Soon. Back to work. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jason, for.
Thanks.
I appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, my friend. Good to see you.
Take care.
All right.
Bye. Wow, he has so much cool work going on right now.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does with that Harlem Hellfighters project. That sounds amazing.
I love his philosophy of sort of doing quality work in a unique way and then sharing it organically with other filmmakers.
Yeah, it's great stuff. A lot to learn from Patrick House. Hopefully you'll learn more about him by going to his website and following him on Instagram. Those links are on our website at makeyourshow.tv/Patrick House.
Thanks for listening to The Creators.
More episodes just like it coming soon.